Okay, good morning, all of you. Okay, in today's lecture class, you are going to deal with the topic errors. While writing the code or the program, you will find many errors. Some errors can be easily identifiable and easily can be solved, but some of the errors you cannot directly solve. That means while writing program or creating the code, many mistakes you can see. For example, you are writing a statement and there is missing semicolon. Similarly, you are using brackets. For example, in SOP, that is system.out.println, you have started the small bracket, but you have forgotten to insert the closing bracket. Then what will happen? Again, there will be error and the program will not be run. And similarly, another case is, for example, you are writing curly bracket for void main. You have started the curly bracket for void main, but you forgot to close that bracket. Then what will happen? Again, the compiler will show what? Certain error. In BlueJ, you can see red on marking over there. That means there happens certain error. That means it is natural that if you are writing certain program, there may come certain error. Then how you can identify those error and how you can solve those error, that is the main thing. That's why in this class you are going to deal with those kind of error. Okay, first of all, what is error and what is error handling? Basically, error means what? Those are certain problems that will cause the certain error, or that will abrupt or prevent the execution of the program. You know that if you forgot to write semicolon at the end of the statement, what will happen over there? If you try to compile that, then it will give what? Error message. That means it will not let the program to be executed, to be compiled and to be executed. That's why errors are those conditions that will prevent normally what? The execution of the program, or that may also produce an incorrect output. For example, you have to find the sum of two number. Then in that case, instead of using plus sign, you have used what? Minus sign. Then what will happen? You have to found the sum of the two number. But if you are using minus over there, what will happen? It will generate what? Difference of them. That means the output you will get, but that output will not be what? Correct one. Or that also may terminate the execution of the program abruptly. That means in some cases what will happen, your program will compile and it will be also run, but without the completion of the task it will what? Terminate abruptly. Or that also even may cause the what? System to crash. That means either are those special conditions that may create what? Different cases that may be what? First of all, they will not be what? Compiled, or they will not be executed. Number one will be that. Another thing is what? There may be chances of getting the output, but incorrect output. That is the second case. And the third case is what? It will be compiled and also it will be run. But what will be there? It may abruptly terminate what? Execution of the program. That is the third case. And the fourth case is what? Even that may cause the system to what? Crash. That means those will create what? Some kind of what? Consequences while writing the program. And basically now we are going to deal with what? Different type of error. You can find many errors in the program while writing the program, and that is the natural thing. But what are the different type of error that you can find in the program? Basically, based on the nature of the error, what it will do or what kind of error is that, based upon that we'll divide that in what? Three different types. Number one, syntax error. Number second is semantic error, and the number is third is what? Logical error. Now what does those mean? First of all, syntax and semantic. You have already learned those things in the previous classes. Basically, syntax means what? That is the rule to write the program. And semantic means what? The meaning that will be given by the what? Correct statement or the correct code. That means syntax error is related with what? syntax of the programming language. That means if you are not following syntax or the rule of the programming language, then such kind of error are said to be what? Syntax error. That's why these are the errors which will arise due to what? The fact that the syntax of the language will not be what? Followed. That means you are not following the rule of the programming language, and that will give what? Certain error to the user. And such kind of errors are said to be what? Syntax errors. Just in the previous case, I have given one example. In a statement, for example, in Java, you know that you are using programming language Java and you are writing certain statement. Then you are not ending with semicolon. Then what will happen? It will give error. For example, you are writing a statement to find the sum. Sum equal to a plus b. You know that at the end of a plus b, you are going to write what? Semicolon. But you forgot to write that. Then what will happen? It will not follow what? Syntax. Whenever you are writing certain statement, you have to close that by using what? Semicolon. But if you are not using that, that means what? You are not following the rule. Then it will give what? Syntax error. Okay, another one is what? Semantic error. Semantic error means what? That is syntactically correct, but that will not give what? Proper meaning. Then such kind of error are said to be what? Semantic error. I'll give one example. For example, I have defined int a, isn't it? Now I am writing what? A equal to 10.5. What will happen? Do you think this is syntactical error, syntax mistake over there? No, because why? Int a, that is correct. You are defining variable a with data type int. But if you are writing a equal to 10.5, what will happen over there? You are defining variable a int, but you are trying to insert that what? Decimal value into it, 10.5. Then what will happen? It will not give proper meaning. It will give proper syntax. It is following the rule. Why? Because a is the variable and you are writing certain 10.5 value to that variable. That is syntactically correct. But the problem is what? 10.5 is what? That is decimal, and you are going to try to put that value in what? Integer type of a variable. Then that will create what? Semantic error. That's why those are the error which will be arise due to what? Improper use of the program statement. Isn't it? You are writing the program statement, that is correct, but improper use. Just like I have given the example, you are writing a equal to 10.5 where a is what? Int. Then that is what? Improper. Why it is improper? Because decimal value cannot be assigned in what? Integer variable. Like that. Another one is what? Logical error. Now logical error means what? Logical means what? If you are writing certain program, you are going to use what? Certain logic, isn't it? For example, to check whether the number is odd or even, what you'll do? You'll divide the number by 2. If it gives what? Remainder 0, then it is even. Elsewise, it will be what? Or, isn't it? That is the logic. And if you are doing the mistake in logic, for example, I am writing just opposite thing. Suppose 2 in the if condition, for example, what I have written, the number divided by 2 equal to 1. In that case, I am writing even, and elsewise what? Or. Then what? There is the logical mistake, isn't it? If the remainder is 1, then it will be what? Odd, but I am writing what? Even. Then such kind of error in the logic is said to be what? Logical error. That's why those errors are due to what? The fact that the specification is not respected. Specific means what? Specification means what? To perform certain tasks, you will define certain specification, and if that does not match, isn't it? If the logic is not a match, then such kind of error are said to be what? Logical error. That's why syntax error, that is the mistake in the rules. You are not following the rules. Semantic error means rules are followed, but that is improper, isn't it? That is what? Semantic error. And logical errors means what? Those are the mistake in the logic. For example, just I have given before, you have to find the sum, but in case of plus, you are writing minus. What is there? That is also a mistake. Even that will give the output. Then it is said to be what? Logical error. Because why? Because to add, you have to use plus sign, and instead of that, what you have used? Minus you have used. Then it is what? Logical error. That's why those are the classification of the errors based on what? Nature of the error. And the next part is what? Now, from the point of the view of the error, when the error will be generated, based on that, you can further divide errors into two parts. Those are compile time error and the runtime error. That means when the error will be identified, isn't it? That means the time of the identification of the error, depending upon that, we can define that as the compile time error or the runtime error. You know, compile and runtime means what? Compile means what? You are converting certain language, programming language into what? Executable form, isn't it? After that, you are going to what? Run that. That is the runtime. You know that in the BlueJ, after clicking compile button, what? It will be compiled. That means it will be converted into what? Runnable code. And if you are right clicking that box and you click what? Void main, then what will happen? It will run the program. That's why compile time is the conversion time. Run time means what? Execution time. That's why some errors will be identified while compiling the program, isn't it? But some errors cannot be identified at the time of the compilation. Then such kind of errors are said to be what? Runtime. That's why compile time errors are what? Those errors which are found during the compile time. And normally syntax error and the static semantic error are what? The compile time error. Most of the syntax error, for example, you are missing the semicolon, the parenthesis is not matching, you forgot to write what? Semicolon at the last, or even you can say what? That curly bracket, then what? That is the syntax error. Those will be identified during the compile time. And some of the semantic error, some of the semantic error that will be also found at what? Compile time. For the example that I have given before, you are defining variable a with integer type, but you are going to write what? 10.55 value to that. That means what? That is the semantic error, and that will be identified at what? Compile time. At the time of compile, you will get what? Certain error, and this is what is static. Just remember, static means what? Compile time. And you can see run dynamic one means what? Runtime. That's why static semantic error will be identified at the compile time, but the dynamic semantic error will be identified at what? Runtime error. So runtime error means what? Those will be identified not at the compile time. You'll compile that and you will not get the such kind of error. But if you execute that, then it will give what? Such kind of error. Then it is what? Runtime error. And most of the dynamic semantic error are runtime error. Example we'll see further in another slide. And the all the logical error, for example, just I have given that example. You have to find the sum, but instead of plus you have written minus. Then do you think that will be identified at call to compile time? No. But after running, you can identify what? That as an error. Then that is what? Runtime error. That's why all the logical errors are what? Runtime error. So those cannot be detected by the compiler and will be identified only during the runtime. After the runtime or during the runtime, you are going to find what? Runtime errors. Okay, we'll go through each and every errors now. First of all, semantic error, syntax error. Example is what? Missing semicolon, isn't it? Just I have given the example before. You are defining int equal to 5, but you forgot to write semicolon. Then it will give what? Syntax error. That's why this is first example. Another example is what? Error in expression. Now, can you tell me what is the mistake over here? What is here? Here, it is missing what? Parenthesis, closing bracket. Closing is small bracket is missing. That's why this is also syntax error. In this case, what is error over there? You know that between plus and into, there is required what? Certain variable or the constant, or even what? You can say there needs what? Only one operator, but you have used what? Plus and into both operator. Then it is also what? Mistake. That is what? Syntax error. Another other example also you can find like missing what? Curly braces or unbalanced what? Parenthesis. Missing curly bracket means, for example, in void main you are not closing the curly bracket. That is also syntax error. For example, unbalanced parenthesis means what? You are using many parentheses, but you forgot to close that, or there is certain mistake in that. That is unbalanced what? Parenthesis. Similarly, missing operator. For example, you have to write 3 plus 5, but instead of that you have written what? 3 space 5. Then what will happen? That will also create what? Syntax error. Similarly, omitting the return statement. You know that, for example, in case of getter, that is accessor method, you will return what? Certain value, but you forgot to write what? Return statement. Then that is what? Also syntax error. Why? Because if you are using accessor method return type, then you must return what? Certain value. That is the rule. and you are not following that rule, that means what? That will give syntax error. Another one, using equal to rather than what? Double equal to, isn't it? For example, in comparison case, you have to use what? You know that double equal to you have to use. But instead of that, what you have done? Equal to, then what? That is also what? Syntax error. And most of the time, you are going to get what? Syntax error, which will be easily identified during the what? Compile time. Before, while compiling the program, it will give certain error, and you can easily what? Solve those error. And the next part is what? Semantic error. You know that semantic error means what? Using the statement, but that is what? Improper, isn't it? And further example like this. Can you tell me what is the error over there? Other than that, the previous one I have given, like you are inserting decimal value into what? Integer value. But in this case also there is what? Certain semantical error. What is error? If you see, it looks fine, isn't it? INTI, I plus plus. What is mistake over there? Nothing error you can see, but there is error. What is error over there? Non-initialized value, isn't it? What does that mean? Now look over here. INTI, that is correct. You are defining certain what? Variable I with what? Integer data type. But I plus plus, you know that I plus plus means what? Increment by 1. Now, you haven't defined the variable value. You don't know what is the value of I, but you said what? You have to increment by 1. Then what will happen? Then it will give what? Semantical error. That means that is what? Variable is used, and it is also initialized. It is also what? Incremented. But there is not what? Initial value for that. That's why this is what? Semantical error. That means it looks fine, but there is what? There is the mistake in what? Meaning. Okay, isn't it? Okay, next part is what? Example 2. In that case, what? Next is what? Type incompatibility. For example, you are defining integer variable a, but you are trying to insert what? Certain string value to what? That variable. That is what? Also example of what? Semantical error, isn't it? And the next one is what? Now can you tell me what is error over there? I think it looks fine, isn't it? String as equal to certain string. Dotted means you are writing certain string over there, and int equal to 5 into 5 minus s. It is also looks fine. But problem is what? If you are doing int equal to 5 minus s, here s should be also what? Integer. But s is what here? String. Then it is also what? Semantical error. That means you are trying to access certain value with certain variable type, but it is giving what? Other type of value or other type of what? Data type. Then it will give what? Semantical error. You know that what is the mistake over there? Because minus operator will only support what? Integer type or the numerical type, but you are using what? String type. That's why it is also what? Semantical error. Now till now, these are the example that you have seen. What? Those are the normally compile time what? Semantical error. That means what? Static semantic error, isn't it? But the last one you can see over here. This is what? Dynamic semantic error, and it will be identified only in what? Runtime. Now, can you tell me what is the mistake over here? It looks fine, isn't it? Int integer, integer what? Array with name b equal to new int 10. Okay, 10 size is defined, and v10 equal to what? 100. That means in 10th, that 10th index value, you are writing what? 100. It looks fine, isn't it? Then what is the error over here? Now, you know, if you are defining the size of the array to be 10, then index value will go from what? 0 to what? Is it 10? No. It will go from 0 to what? 9, isn't it? If it goes from 0 to 9 and you are going to access what? 10 index value, then obviously can you find that? No. Then it will give what? Dynamic semantic error, and it will be identified only during the time of what? Runtime. It will not be identified at the compile time, isn't it? Because why? The syntax is correct and meaning is also correct. V10 means what? 10 is the index, that is integer index, and the V is the array. Then it looks fine. But the problem is what? At the runtime, it will search for what? 10 index, but it will find what? The index from 0 to 9 only. 10 will not be found over there. Then it will give what? Error during the runtime, at the time of what? Execution. That's why this is said to be what? Also the semantic error, but this is what? Dynamic semantic error, which will be identified at what? Runtime. Understood? That's why in previous example 1, 2 and 3, those will be identified during the compile time, but the fourth example will be identified only after what? Execution. isn't it? That's why this is what dynamic semantic error. So you know that 10 is not a legal index. Why? Because the element are 10. That's why it will run from what? 0 to 9. Okay, and the next one is what? Logical error. You know that logical error means what? Those error will be identified as what? As the logical mistake, isn't it? That's why those are the mistake in the logic while writing the program. So the program will be also compiled and also be executed without any error, but it will not give what? The output that you are expecting, isn't it? Logical error means this will give the output also, but that will not give what? Correct output. Some of the example are you can see over there. Can you tell me what is the mistake over there in this program? Okay, example one, errors in computation. For example, you are doing error in while doing what? Computation tasks. For example, you can see public static int sum. You are defining what? Sum name over there. That means you are finding the sum of two variables int a and int b. But what you have done? Written a minus b. What it will do? The program is to find the sum, but it will find what? Difference. Then it is what? Logical error, isn't it? It will give the output. But do you think the output is correct? No. That's why it is what? Logical error. And the next one is this one. What is the mistake over it? Okay, name itself tells. There is written what? Non-termination or the infinite loop. Can you tell me how it will give infinite loop? Okay, first of all, int I equal to 1. You know that is the counter value we use for the loop. Int sum equal to 0. You have to find the sum of what? Certain number. That's why it is initialized with what? 0 value. Now what you have done? While I is less than equal to 10. That means up to 10 number. That is first 10 natural. You have to find the sum. Now you have done what? Sum plus equal to I. That means in sum you are going to repeatedly add the value of what? I. Isn't it? That means first of all 1 will be added. Isn't it? Now the task is to add what? Next time 2, 3, 4, like that you have to add. But what is the mistake over there? Can you see over here? Okay, sum plus equal to I up to condition what? I is less than equal to 10, correct. But do you think here the value of I will be changed? Can you tell me? In which step the value of I will be changed? Normally the value of I will should be what? Incremented by 1. First of all, it should add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, isn't it? But do you think it will increment? No. Why? Because I plus plus is not there, isn't it? After sum plus equal to I, there should be what? I plus plus. So I plus plus is not there. Then do you think the value of I will be incremented? No. Value of I will be always what? 1. That's why it will always add what? 1 only. Because what? 1 is less than 10. That's why it will goes on what? Infinite loop. Because what? The condition will always satisfy. Why? Because the value of I will not be changed. It will be always remain 1. That's why I will be 1 and it will be always less than 10. That's why this loop will what? Continuously run. It will not stop. That's why this is also what? Logical error. It will not be identified at the compile time, also not in the run time. It will also run, but what will happen? It will go in what? Infinite loop. That's why it is also what? Logical error. That means logical error are the errors. Those will be identified at what? Not in compile time. After the run time, it will give the output, but that will not be what? Correct one. That those are what? Logical error, isn't it? That's why in the program you can find what? Different syntax error, different semantic error, or even you can find what? Different logical error. That means based upon those error, now you have to identify or solve them, isn't it? You have to first of all identify the error, where the error lies, and now you have to what? Correct those error. Okay, next part is what? Coursework demo. That means you have already learned what? What are those what? Getter and setter, isn't it? Now I will explain how you have to use getter and setter for that one. For that, you'll see one example over here, isn't it? Okay, I'll give certain example with name what? Developer. For example, there is developer class. For those for that class, you have to use what? Different getter and setter. Then how you can do, isn't it? Okay, first of all, you know that public what? Class developer. Okay, I'm defining here three different what? Variables, instance variables. Okay, for that you can use different access modifier. For example, I'm using private, isn't it? Private int For example, I am writing what? Developer ID. Okay, developer ID. Then next one is what? Which is similar to your coursework as well, isn't it? Now next is private string. Okay, I am writing what? Developer name. And the next one, for example, I am writing what? Okay, writing here is only, isn't it? Is like this. Okay, I'm defining what? Three instance variable, isn't it? Now, first of all, you know that we have to use constructor. That is the good way of writing the program. You can use the default constructor, isn't it? Default constructor means that will that will assign with what? Certain default values. But it is preferable to use what? Parameterized constructor, isn't it? So in parameterized constructor, what you can do? You'll use the same name as the class name, isn't it? Developer means it's what the constructor name also should be what? Developer. And now you have to pass what? Different parameters. What are the parameters? First of all, int dev id, developer id, isn't it? Then next one is what? String developer name. In case of age, you can write okay int. Okay, I am changing this one. Okay, okay int is, isn't it? Now string what? Developer name, developer name. And then next part is what? For int is, isn't it? Now after that, what you can do, what you have to do, now you have to assign those parameter value to the instance variable. For that you will use what? This, isn't it? Because what? The name of the parameter and the instance variable are same. Normally if you are using the same, then it will not create what? Any confusion. You can use different variable also, but it is preferable to use like this, isn't it? You know that you have already used that, isn't it? Then this dot developer id equal to what? Now you are writing what? Developer id as well, isn't it? Now the next part is what? This dot, next part is what? Developer name, isn't it? Developer name equal to, now you have to do what? Equal to again developer name. Now the next part is what? Now this dot third one is what? Is this dot is equal to, now you will do what? This dot is, isn't it? Like this. That means this is the constructor that will take the parameters and that will what? Assign those parameter value to what? Instance variable. And just remember, in case of what? Instructor you can constructor you can use what? Public as well. That doesn't matter, isn't it? Public developer you can also say use. You can write only developer, that will make default, isn't it? But you can also publicly define that as well, isn't it? Now there is now the need of what? Using what? Getter and setter, you know that. First of all, okay, we'll use what? Getter, isn't it? Now for the getter part, other you can also say that as what? Accessor method, isn't it? Accessor method. Now what you are going to do, you know, accessor method are those method that will what? Return value, isn't it? Whenever your variables is private, then you cannot access those variable in other classes, isn't it? In your coursework also, what you'll do, you'll create a parent class and you are going to use those in what? Your children classes. And if you are going to define as the private, then you know it is only accessible in the developer class, but you have to use in other classes also. In that case you have to use what? Getter or the accessor method. Okay, in that case you are going to write what? First of all, what? Return type. Okay, first of all, developer id is what? Integer. That's why return type also will be what? Integer. Now you are going to write what? Get, for getter, isn't it? Get what? Developer id, isn't it? Like this. Then in getter what it will do, what you are going to do, you know that you will return certain what? Value. That's why we'll return what? Developer id, dev id, isn't it? Like this. And in the method also you can use what? Different modifier like what? Public, isn't it? Okay, now the next part is, okay, I'm writing public and next return type will be what? String for what? Developer name, because developer name is what? String data type. That's why string will be its return type. And we'll write what? Get developer name, like this, isn't it? Now in that method also what you are going to do, you'll return what? Developer name. And here the variable name is what? Developer name, like this. isn't it? Now the third part is what? Now I think you are able to define for age, isn't it? First of all, public, then int. So return type also will be what? Int and is. Then you are going to write what? Get is, isn't it? Mm, okay, like this. Now what you will do? Now again you will return what? That value. That is what? Is value, isn't it? Like this. That means what is the value of the uh, instance variable, the return type also will be same one, isn't it? Like this. And in getter you have to write what? Return only for that statement. And public, normally method normally variable can will be used as private, isn't it? But the method will be normally what? Public, isn't it? Okay, now for this is for what? Getter. Now the next is the part for what? That is the setter, which is also known as what? Setter is also known as mutator method, isn't it? Mutator methods. Now, if you are going to define the mutator method, you have to define for all the instance variables. That's why instance variable, what are there? First of all, developer ID. That's why public, and normally setter will what? Set the value. That means it will not return any value. That's why it will be normally what? Void, isn't it? Now set what? You have to set what? Developer ID, isn't it? And while setting the value, you need what? Parameter. That's why we'll write what? int developer ID, like this. Now you have to what? Set the value. For that you are going to use what? This dot what? Developer ID equal to what? Dev ID, isn't it? Now you can tell me what it will do. You know that this parameter will be used to set the value for what? Instance variable. You know this is used for what? To represent what? Instance variable, isn't it? This is the instance variable that you have this dot dev ID, that is instance variable for this object. And now developer ID is what? Parameter. And now you are going to use for other as well, isn't it? Now next for what? Developer name. So public, now also it will be void. Now set what? Developer name. Okay, developer name. And in that case also you have to use what? Parameters. So string what? Developer name. Like this, isn't it? Okay, developer name. Now again you will do what? The same process. What you'll do? You'll take first of all instance variable, that is what? Developer ID, isn't it? Uh, Developer ID. In that case, what you are going to assign? The parameter. That is also what? Developer ID. Developer, sorry, name. That is developer name. Okay. Okay. This is also what? Name. Like this. Now, the third part is for what? Is. That's why. Now also use what? Public void. Isn't it? Now set what? Is. And just remember, while writing the name, what I'm doing over here, first letter of the method always should be what? Small letter. And after that, for different word, I'm using what? Capital letter, like this. See? Set developer D capital, name and capital. Isn't it like that? Okay. Set is again what? Now for that you need what? Parameter int is. Now again you are going to do what? This dot what? This dot is equal to what? Is, like this, isn't it? Like this. So for instance variable, what you have done? First of all, you have defined what? First of all, define what? A constructor, parameterize constructor for that. And after that, you have used getter for getting that values and setter for what? Setting values, isn't it? And if you have to, for example, display, then what you will do? I think you are able to do that. What you will do now to display that? Now you will use what? Display method, public void display. In this case, you going to use what? SOP, that is system dot out println. You will display what? Developer ID is developer ID. Developer name is plus what? Developer name. And after that, what? Age is what? Plus age, like that, isn't it? Like this. You have to do. In the coursework also, you have to do the same tasks, isn't it? First of all, you have to define the class. For that, you have to write the instance variable, and you have to define what? Constructor, like this, parameter constructor. And for each variable, now you have to define what? Different what? Getter and setter, like this, isn't it? I think you understand that one, and you can create by your own, isn't it? For your coursework, that what? Getter and setter, isn't it? Okay, now just I have told you, isn't it? Without writing the void main also, you can what, identify or check the values. Now how you can do that, also another demonstration for that. For example, this is the scenario. You can see over there, there is a developer, just like before I have written, and there is what, junior developer and senior developer. That means there is using what, inheritance. You know that this complete line in BlueJ is means what, that is the what, that is the inheritance. That means developer is the parent class, developer may be junior developer, or developer also may be what, senior developer. That's why those are what, child classes. Now how you can check that, you can see we haven't written void main over here, isn't it? If you have used void main there, then what will happen, you have to create the object. If you are creating object, then what will happen here, there will be dotted arrow. But you can see, can you see any dotted arrow over there? No. That means there is not created any object, and there is also not word main, isn't it? Now, how it is going to run? How you can check the output? Now we'll see over here. Okay, in other ID there is a different mechanism, but in case of BlueJ, you can easily check the output or the value that has been used over there. Now you can see over here, developer is the parent class. Just the program or the code is similar, isn't it? Okay, you can see different variables over here, instance variable, parameterized constructor, then what, different getter, isn't it, different setter and display method, like this, isn't it, display method. Okay, and also for the senior junior developer, there is also similar thing. You can see different instance variable, parameter, different getter, different setter, and different other method as well, isn't it? Now how you can check the variables value, now you can see over there. For example, okay, I am checking for developer, you will click right over there. If you have written over there void main, then void main will appear there. But in this case, you can see only the parameterized constructor is over there. What is there? New developer string platform name, string interviewer name, and int workout. Where it is, you can see over there. You can see in this case, look over here, developer string platform name, interviewer name, and int working hour. That means three instance variable or the three parameter has been used over there. Then now in this case also you can see the same thing, isn't it? In case of now, see junior developer, in case of junior developer also, you can see what, this constructor, junior developer platform name, interviewer name, work hour, salary, like that, isn't it? Then this will be also appear what, over here, like this. Now how you can inspect over there, now look carefully. First of all, I will right click over here. In any method you can, any class you can do that. First of all, I am clicking that, isn't it? What it will do, it will ask for certain value. Name of the instance, that is object is develop one, isn't it? Now I have to what, pass different value. You can see over there string platform name, then I have to give certain platform name. For example, I am giving what, multimedia as the platform name. Now string interviewer name, for example, I'm writing ram over here, isn't it? Int working out, now I'm writing what, 10 over here, isn't it? It looks fine, but I think it will give error. Creating object, it is giving what, error. Why? Variable multimedia, it is not what, string. For string, you know what you have to write, double quote, isn't it? That's why now you have to write what, double quote for string, but no double quote for what, number. Now you will do what, okay, what it will do, it will create what, red box over here. That means this is one object, isn't it? Now again I will right click over here. Now you can see what, different method that has been created in what, developer class, isn't it? In that case, display is over there, get developer name, that is getter, three getter are there, then what, setter is only one there, isn't it, like that? That means for those method that you have written in developer class, now it will be what, accessible. Now first of all, I am going to display, use display. You can see here what is display over there. Name of the interviewer is ram, name of the platform is multimedia, working hour is 10. Now can you tell me how it came? Okay, these are the value that was inserted before, isn't it? While I have what, right click over there, then I click over there, then I have inserted those value. Now those value will be what, display over. That means you can say what, display method is working correctly, isn't it, like that? That means inspection is correct, that is testing. Now you have to test for what, developer name, isn't it? I'm now changing what, getting developer name, what it is giving. First of all, it is nothing returning over, isn't it? Now another one is get an interviewer name. For example, here is what, ram. As you have seen before, we haven't said the developer name. isn't it? We have only set what? Interviewer name, platform, and the getting working hour. That's why if I'm going to get developer name, nothing will be there over there. But if I'm going to do what? Get interviewer name, it will give what? RAM as value, isn't it? I'll check each and every one. Now, platform. What was that? Multimedia. Now, again, next one. Now, getter. Getter will do like this. Now, working hour. That was 10. Now, again, what? Set developer name. For example, I am going to set the certain value. For example, okay, in that case, RAM value, I am going to try to add SAM, but that should be what? Within double quote. Now, what it will do? Okay, we are writing okay. Now, I will again display that. Word display. Now what will display? Now you can see multimedia is unchanged, 10 is also unchanged, but I have set the new value, that is SAM, instead of what? RAM. That's why now it will give what? Developer name SAM, isn't it? RAM is the interviewer name, but we have used what? Developer name, that is what now? SAM. Like this you can what? Inspect over there, isn't it? For example, you can inspect another class like junior developer. Now again you will do the same thing. Now you will create this one. Now you have to different value you have to insert over there. For example, platform name, I am writing what? Now I am writing computing. Now interviewer name, for example, I am writing what? Hurry. Okay, hurry, isn't it? Now INT working hour, for example, I am writing 5. Salary is, for example, I am writing what? 25,000, isn't it? Now string appointed by, for example, I am writing what? Sundar. Okay, I'm writing this one, isn't it? Within what? Double quote. Now I'm doing what? Okay. Then it will create what? Another box. That means another object, isn't it? Now in that case also you can see different method that you have used over there. For example, I am doing first of all display. Now what it will do? It will display. What it is displaying? Developer is sorry. Interviewer name is Hari. Platform is computing, and the working hour is 5, like this, isn't it? For each one you can do that, isn't it? For example, getter appointed by evaluation, you can do like this. You can see Sundar, isn't it? Each method can be inspected over there. Or display, it is displaying the previous output, isn't it? Now get appointed date. Okay, uh, get appointed date, there is empty, we haven't insert over there. Evaluation period, that is also empty, no inserted over there. For that you have to use what? Setter. Yeah, isn't it? INT get salary, salary is 25,000. Then whatever value you have inserted over there, then you can inspect like this, isn't it? For example, get termination date, set salary. For example, I want to set the salary to be changed, for example 60,000. Then what will happen? Now I am going to display that, isn't it? Display or get the salary, get salary. Then what it will show? Sorry, it is not being closed. Okay, get salary, isn't it? This is also what? 25,000. I think there is certain mistake in the program, that's why it is showing like that, isn't it? Okay, then I think there is certain. Okay, display, it is correct, isn't it? Now set the salary. Okay, and get the salary, isn't it? It is not changing. Okay, I think that there is certain mistake in the program. Okay, let it be. That means you can check like this, isn't it? How the method or the data will be passed, or how it is giving the value, you can check like this. This is said to be what? Inspection. And BlueJ provides one of the easy way to inspect what? Inspect the value of those what? Variables within the code or the method in the code, isn't it? Like that. Like this you can check the what? How each method will work, you can inspect over there. Okay, if there are any question, you can ask now, isn't it? Or you can ask in the what? In the later tutorial classes, as well as what? Your live sessions as well, isn't it?